Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the DGS Presents YouTube channel run by the Dead Game Society. Today, we tackle that most iconic and archetypal of all mythic monsters, the dragons. So, imagine this. Your party has been dispatched to the Barren Peaks in the Northlands, and after finding entrance into volcanic chambers under one of the tallest and most vertiginous peaks, they find themselves in a massive chamber over 100 feet in length and width, with a ceiling that's lost in rolling darkness. The thief scouts ahead, but she fails her hear noise check, and suddenly a titanic reptilian form rises from the shadows. Its scales are electric blue, and its fangs are the size of a man's arm. Yes, it is the dragon. And in this case, it is a blue dragon, but what type of blue dragon is it? There were, of course, the archetypal blue dragons that were introduced in the basic D&D set, and there was also the ones introduced in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And in second edition, and there were dragons found in the Monster Manual 2 and the Fiend Folio and everything else. But there was a supplement that was released in the 80s. From Mayfair Games in 1984 by Don Wilson, with art by Jeff Bush and Robin Wood. And I think Wood still has a website up with some pretty cool fantasy art that I will post in the show notes. But what I want to do today is I want to take a look at this really cool dragon supplement that Role Aids came out with, Mayfair, that was part of the Role Aids line. Because there's a lot of neat things in here that really expand the way that you can play and introduce dragons in the Dungeons & Dragons game. And to help me with this, I'm going to bring back DM Greg and DM Michael. So why don't you guys come on back? There they are. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Absolutely great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so you got your Greyhawk behind you there, Greg. That looks good.
Yeah, that's my new back mat. I'll take that bad boy any day of the week. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. So this supplement, this dragon supplement, like I said, is released in 1984. And what it does is it gives you there's kind of an interesting introduction here on the first page. It says, what is like unto a dragon? What can compare with the majesty and the terrible grace of the great lizards, right? The tallest trees bow to their passing, right? The great storms quiet at their approach, right? So this is a nice little intro to the dragons. And then we have, of course, our table of contents and everything, and how to use the book. And just like we explained with the Lich Lords episode a few weeks back, Mayfair, they didn't have like full rights over some of this stuff. So they had to change some of the abbreviations, right? Like hit points.
They took some, what would you call it? Courtesies, if you will.
Liberties.
Liberty.
Yes. My adventures.
Yeah. Liberty and freedom. Always a good way to go.
They did. And so, they changed things around a bit, but it's very simple to see, right, what the stats are supposed to be. And in the first part of this book, it introduces, there's like an overview of actual dragons and where they come from. And in the supplement, it says that dragons are primordial lizard beings, the elemental god of water shaped into their current form. And they actually, I don't know if you noticed this, Greg, they a little later in the supplement, it talks about how dragons can sometimes become unsure of themselves because they remember their modest origins as these lizards.
Well, I would say, Colin, that could you do me a favor? Just pop back to the cover of this episode of the Mayfair magazine. Mm-hmm. So this Role Aid edition, and that's why we're doing it, right? Because we said, hey, let's do the dragon ones. It'd be totally cool. It is. They actually expanded, right? Because the Monster Manual was the first book to come out. And dragons in first edition were pretty weak, in my opinion. Some may not. I mean, a first level fighter would disagree, but they're pretty damn weak. This Role Aids edition, this amendment, if you will, really expanded dragons and gave them a history like you were just referencing, right, Colin? Talks about different clans, different families within the clans. What's really nice is they gave dragons some strength, right?
They did, yeah, as we'll see. And a little correction here. The person who wrote this is by Corey Glauberson, is actually the person who wrote it. The other individuals I mentioned were contributors.
Yeah, this is a great roll aids to get. There's one available on eBay right now for $18. That's it.
Yes, good thing. I almost forgot.
Actually, I think I might go buy it right now. I was going to do it anyways.
Yeah,
right, I'll go do it and stuff like that.
This is easy to
get.
The
80s, so it was all, roll aids was great. It was all about the aids back then. They had great books.
Yes, it was in the 70s.
Yes,
80s,
so
80s.
80s, that's right.
Hippie.
So in this book, they first give us this kind of a rough overview description of the different types of dragons that are in the book. We see here we have silver dragons, which I think are the smallest, right, Greg? And then we're kind of building up in terms of size in the book. So we have let's see, they have. I think this guy, the silver dragon, is put on my glasses to read that, but I think they're only they're like,
I take mine off to read it.
Let me get my cane and my glasses. We gotta go see what's going on here.
So that guy is only 1 ton, so he's very small, right? And they vary in alignment. Obviously, they vary in height and weight. And of course, their abilities, which we're going to get into in a second. So you have your gold and your green, and you notice here, just like Greg said, they're in clans. These dragons are part of clans, and there's 12 clans, and within the clans are smaller groups called krats.
Yep. Families, right?
Yeah, they're like families. And all dragons are proud and arrogant, and they possess fantastic powers. And according to the text, they're part god in some ways.
Well, I have a question real quick.
Well, rumor has it.
Well, I have a question. Comparing early TSR to this, as far as where did they get this idea to really expand this universe, really a universe of dragons? Did they just, was TSR going in that direction already, and these guys just kind of came along and just kind of like bulked up? Were they going off of Tolkien's work with Smog and all the other stuff?
Well, I don't know the answer directly, but
you
touched on 2 good points. One, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking Frazetta. Sorry, Frazetta, Tolkien, they did some artwork together. I just bought a Frazetta. I'm like, what the heck? Sorry. I don't know that answer, but with this, I think Mayfair was really like a Judges Guild or any of those, how would you say, accessories that were trying to make a name for themselves. And Mayfair was doing a good job. They aligned with TSR, although they took some liberties, right, on the copyright and that type of, protected IP. I think they were answering your question, Michael. I think they just wanted to get out there and expand dragons. And it wasn't necessarily Tolkien related. It may have been, but I don't know. Colin, do you know?
I think maybe that this is just speculation, but remember, this is back when the movie Dragon Slayer came out.
Oh, there were so many good ones.
That was that clip that I just showed you guys just a second ago, right? So dragons were kind of in the public imagination at this point. I think there were a few other fantasy films, kind of sword and sandal stuff that feature dragons. And obviously, yeah, there you go. People love these things. And I think, like you said, Mayfair saw an opportunity to expand the dragon universe, introduce new abilities and backgrounds and history and mythology behind these creatures to the public.
Dragons rock.
Well, was it 2nd edition where they really started going more into the dragons? They had the Dragonlance series, which really
that too, yeah.
Dragonlance was a name, right? Name related.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, did they ever release a book that was just dragon specific? I know 2nd edition did, and of course 3rd and so on.
I don't think so. Greg, do you remember?
Let me go check my shelf.
You're asking me a question beyond first.
Yeah, Michael should check that. Yeah.
Yeah, check your shelf.
I don't remember something like this from like.
Well, no,
early
no,
TSR.
they didn't. TSR did not release, in my knowledge, anything to the depth of which Mayfair went with these dragons. And in this magazine, Colin, super cool. They really define the dragon, their personalities. They introduced the ego chart, where remember in first edition, when you fight a dragon, you could subdue it, you can try, and therefore, if you subdue it, right, do subduing damage, 1/4 damage of what you actually roll. Once you get them to 0, they're subdued, you can actually control them. And now, as a pet per se, you have a dragon. If you're playing first edition, those were the days. I haven't subdued a dragon in like 35 years.
Neither have I, no.
It's been like maybe 40. What do you got, Michael?
This is second edition, but yeah, this is, I guess, the equivalent to the Mayfair, where it's just like the whole thing. But it took about second edition. I wonder which was released first.
Michael, don't make me take out my crucifix and ban you from this program.
Hold on, I'm looking. Let's see. So the Mayfair, what was the release date? This is 1990 for second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
We can't
based on the Forgotten Realms.
Michael, you're on screen. We can't see what you're showing.
Oh, yeah. So no, this is 1984. So
this
is well before that.
All right, that's fine. I was just curious. Anyway, sorry. We can continue on.
Yeah, back to this. So we obviously we have our copper dragons, we have our black dragons, right? They're different clans, different crats. Some are good, some are evil. And then we get to our blue dragon, as we saw a little bit earlier. This guy is he's pretty big. He's like 3.5 tons, something like that.
Well, that's nice. This magazine does like we were talking about, and why we're bringing it to this episode is they expand so well. They add tonnage to the dragons. Some dragons have tail attacks, right? Mm-hmm. They differentiate between the actual giant worm, the dragon itself, and dragon-like creatures, right? Dragonettes. The little green guy, he is a pseudo dragon. Which could also be a fine familiar for a mage. Don't forget it. And that's a great one to roll. I rolled it at Ernie's game once at GaryCon, like GaryCon 4. We're building characters in Ernie's, the dungeon that he went to the Kickstarter with, the hobby shop dungeon. Oh, yeah, we ran through it and we rolled up our own characters. Spent like an hour and a half. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd just rather play. And I rolled as a magic user for my fine familiar. And based upon my alignment, pseudo dragon. We're back to the episode.
There you go. So in this supplement or this text, the blue dragon does have some abilities that are not available to the standard Advanced Dungeons and Dragons blue dragon. It's a bit different. It actually breathes fire. And
several dragons actually breathe fire. The white dragon that usually does frost. In this magazine, it says that it's fire. It's cold fire.
Yeah. So
they do a nice job.
Yeah. If we look up here at the top, where it says, blue dragon up there in the middle. So let's say their variable hit dice of the dragons are based on their molting level and how many times they have molted and what there's 4 molts, Greg.
Definitely. Let's talk about molting. Take it, Colin.
Yeah, we're jumping around a bit, but that's okay. So there's these molts for the dragon, and it's just like it sounds. They shed their skin and everything, and they become a new, older dragon with enhanced powers. So let's say, and we'll get more to that in a second, but let's say this blue dragon, let's say he's a third molt dragon, and let's say he's 10 hit die. And he can move normally 6, or when he's flying 20. He has 3 attacks. His damage, it's claw, bite, right? Damage 1 to 8, or 3 to 24 with a bite. But his breath weapon, right, is different than that found in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons in the Monster Manual, right? In this case, it is a flame cone, 80 feet in length and 20 feet in width.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and the other thing that he can do is a poison spit. I love this. Instead of a breath weapon, he can spit poison at one humanoid opponent. If struck, the target must save versus poison at -4 or die.
Nice.
And it will not affect other dragons. And this spit has 100-foot range.
That is awesome. So they give them more than one breath weapon.
Some of them, yeah. I don't know if all of them have more than one breath weapon, but
and some also, like I said, do tail damage as well. So this is a great ad because, right, Colin, whenever we play in our games, I'm always telling you guys, right, first edition dragons out of the Monster Manual, love the artwork, love the vibe, can sit there and read it all day long, but in a game, they're too weak. They're too weak.
It can be, yeah. And then of course a little bit different where like in basic D&D, the breath weapons according to the hit points of the dragon.
Yeah.
I did see as a total side note, but I was reading something this week about that, and I always played it that in basic the dragon's current hit points indicated how much damage that they would do. Apparently, I was wrong. It is if a dragon has 100 hit points, its breath weapon does 100 hit points of damage every time, even if it has 1 hit point left. So that was from the TSR alumni, Gary, whoever, really back in the day, confirmed that in some blog posts and forum posts.
All right, real quick. So I did find this from '87 for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So the Dragonlance series, it does cover dragons in there, but not like as in depth as, of course, the Mayfair did. But I feel I'd better show this before.
Show it.
Yeah, well, before someone gets on the internet and say, "Wow, Dragonlance released a book in '87," and then you got to get
guys don't know what you're talking about,
stuff like that.
Hey, Michael, when was that? Michael, when was that book released? When was that?
'87.
87. Yeah. So this magazine episode came out in '86. Mayfair, I think, started in '84. Yeah. So, I think you qualify with that book as a dead game, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. One day we're going to have an episode to one last time verify what Dead Game Society considers a dead game by the original founders of the Dead Game Society. Because I'm tired of, going on Facebook and people are like, well, you can do this. It's like, no, this is what we say. This is our lore. This is our canon. This is what we mean. And all that other stuff. Oh my God, it's just absolutely crazy. But real quick, Colin, what's happening with these guys facing the dragon? Are we ever going to find out?
I was just about to say. Let's hold on. Let me. Okay, so I'm not going to do them all, but let's say the fighter and the thief here, right? This dragon gets up and let's say it spits at the thief first. How does that sound? So the thief. Say she's 10th level, and I think her saving throw versus poison is what, like 11? I think that's what it is.
Give her an 11.
Yeah,
Situations.
I can confirm.
You're the DM. Tell her it's an 11.
I can confirm it. Hold on. I just to be exact, so nobody has a tantrum online. Okay.
Who would do that?
Which is fine. I love spurging out in this stuff.
I love it.
Okay. It would be 11. So this thing spits at the thief, right? And she rolls a 17, so she makes it. Let's say there is another round of combat. Let's say the fighter closes, a magic user comes in here. Let's say there's a little bit back and forth, and let's say the dragon breathes, and these other people, the magic user and the other fighter, and the thief have to roll saving throws versus the breath weapon. We have a miss for the magic user. We have the fighter makes it.
Oh, nice.
And the thief misses. So for this dragon in the Mayfair supplement, it does 10d8 damage.
That's it.
Right. So we have 6.
I drank a healing potion.
13.
I really don't want to watch you roll 10
My free action.
Right. So it's going to, I won't do the whole thing, but
I do enjoy this though, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going to take a crap load of damage from this thing. They could die. Let's see. I have actually have the statistics of the people here. Yeah. One guy's got 49 hit points. So they could easily die to the
as it should be, right? We're talking about a dragon. It's 40 feet long. Right. It weighs 3 tons. It's like a freaking, well, no, tiger tanks would be like a 52 ton, 64 ton.
Yeah.
Tiger tanks.
What version? Yeah, but
Tiger 1. 64 tons, I think.
And then what do you get?
Yeah, 64, 70, something like that. But anyway,
that's what we should do with all the proceeds you make from making these videos, Colin. We should buy a German tank.
Well, after the hookers and cocaine, yes, yeah. Of course. If there's any left over.
So anyway, so back to this. So dragon statistics per clan. We talked about the blue. There are also obviously there's some interesting dragons in here. That the red dragon is 15 tons. It's huge. The platinum dragons are not unique in this. There's just platinum dragons.
Well, they've got all the dragons covered. They did add the brazine, which I'm going to assume is the brass. I didn't, but they have a bronze. So you've got 2. They did introduce the first term, I think, spectral dragons. I know it looks like a chromatic.
Is that the rainbow dragon? Do they have a rainbow dragon?
No, they don't.
No.
1984.
Does not seem progressive enough to me.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, but you can be a spectral dragon, and a spectral dragon, those are the kings and queens of the clans, and they live on a mountaintop, on the tabletop mountains.
Mostly queens.
Which we'll look at a little bit later. Those are a little bit later in the supplement. So let's see. In addition to this, all these stats for these dragons and their breath weapons, their special attacks.
There you go.
Here we have the molts.
You got the molts, but you also have more on stats here. So what you were chatting about with the stats, look at the statistics column in the middle. It actually, and this is the first time I know of, that they actually give dragons giant level strength. And that was a weakness in first edition.
That's right. Yeah. And well, it's interesting too, as you look up in the upper left-hand corner, it says dragons as player characters.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'm not really down with that either. It's almost like, do you guys ever read that book, The Dragon Riders of Pern?
I've heard of it. Yeah. Don't think I've read it.
It's like I remember reading that as a kid or whatever, and there was a lot of like, it was kind of Game of Thrones. They'd ride the dragons, but the dragons kind of had their own personalities and stuff.
Yeah, it was like sci-fi RPG, and it was a crazy book.
Right. That's kind of what I thought of when I saw this, where it says dragons as player characters, right? But again, I wouldn't use them as player characters. I would use all these stats just to create a really cool dragon. Right, to use. So as the
newer editions, you can play as dragons.
Half dragon. Right? Isn't there a half dragon?
Yeah, was that 4.0? It might have been 3.5. That's when it got like a bit crazy.
No,
but like 5 point, whenever they're on 5 point rainbow is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to think about what happens with and how a half dragon is created or any of that stuff. So anyway, that's totally off topic.
Dragon.
But here, according to the molts, like Greg said, we have like let's say bonuses to our attacks. We have special air attacks that we can do. Before the second molt, you can have a rider. You see that, Greg?
Yep.
Yeah, grabbing and dragging.
Sounds like
not the dragons also get additional attack forms like bat wings and claws and other types of like. Go ahead, Colin. This is they did a real and I said it twice or maybe 100 times. They did a real nice job defining dragons and building them out in this magazine. They did a real nice job.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think with TSR. Their imaginations of dragons comes from like classical literature where a knight goes out and slays a dragon. Like one dude goes out there and does
That's
it.
right. That's right.
So I think that's where it was based on.
Yeah.
And that's I guess where that idea came from, because you would read about mythology and all this other stuff. Like he wasn't even like a badass. He wasn't like Conan. He was just like some skinny dude in armor and just went there to save the maiden.
Are you talking about one of the Knights of the Round Table? Because they were a little bit more than skinny knight guys in underwear.
Well, that's true.
They were pretty, and even in D&D when they're shown in the deities and demigods, those knights are pretty badass. I'm just going to let you know.
Galahad.
Yeah, and what is that game system, Colin, that our buddy Tom plays?
Pendragon.
And Ian plays once in a while. Pendragon.
Yeah.
Pendragon is a more Knights of the Round Table type setting. Absolutely loved it when I played it the 1 or 2 times. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's going to be at obviously it's going to be at Chaosium Con in a couple months. People play Pendragon there because I think it's a Chaosium product. I've only played it like once. I have it. I have the old box set, like first edition.
Pendragon?
Of Pendragon.
Dude, why have you not mentioned this?
Do you know how much stuff I have on my bookshelf?
Yeah, I want to see. I want to come over and I'm going to steal your Pendragon stuff. I'm going to read it.
Oh yeah, no, we can do an episode on it. It's totally cool game.
Let's do an episode on Pendragon. We'll bring.
Yeah, let's stop this episode right now. And
let's just stop this. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
and recording.
Let's get back to dragons.
We're going to do Pendragon, which has the word dragon in it. So
yeah, I guess it does.
Kind of like links together. I don't know how I don't know how things work.
No, you don't.
I had a character, an elf that I played that was called Dragon Silverleaf.
Yeah, I had one called Dragon in the Sand, but that's a different story.
That is a whole different episode.
So before the
Not for work episode, by the way.
Yeah, so before the first molt, it would be like a dragon under 50 years of age, right? It'd be a small dragon, but even then, he's got some interesting attacks and stuff he can do, and increase flying speed, the tail attack.
Yep.
That Greg was talking about.
Absolutely a must-have.
You have all kinds of options available to you, and then we get into the second molt. We had that grabbing and dragging attack. I love that. What does it do? Like 2d12. Damage or more, depending how he does it. Lower saving throws. They get better saving throws. Of course, their hit dice goes up, right? So they're going to get better saving throws anyway. Smoke. And then we have ordinary magic use.
Well, Colin, they also get enhanced stats, strength, intellect.
Oh,
insight. Yeah. Those are modified as well, which is really kind of a cool concept. Go ahead, back to you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and then we also have here's the third molt, and some of the stuff we have in here: clairaudience and clairvoyance.
Yes,
that's totally cool.
When I read that, I'm like, totally cool, right? It's like Smaug. He heard Bilbo coming down the stairs, and he knew that the dwarves were outside. Clairaudience, clairvoyance,
and then Smaug, right?
Hold on. The dwarves did have armor. It made a lot of noise. And the hobbits have big feet.
Then they smelled pretty bad after adventuring for like a month.
I mean, they're going to make a lot of noise. So I don't find it like really, really awesome. It's just I could hear when dwarves are out by my door, I hear them like almost a mile away, and I'm not even a dragon.
Yeah,
probably.
They also have like hypnotic gaze and all that stuff. Remember this?
Yeah. That is awesome.
So there's all kinds of cool things that these guys can do. Roar, right? The dragon's roar. It's used to announce the presence of as a dragon is in a public meeting, especially when dragon wants to impress other creatures and younger dragons.
It's like at a town meeting.
Yeah, that's right. And then the fourth molt is like 500-year-old plus dragon, right? You're getting like ancient dragons.
Yeah.
Change breath weapon. So they can introduce poison gas, right? Or is there electricity in there? I don't see. Oh, there it is, lightning, right? So you can get lightning. So the blue dragon I was using earlier, right now he doesn't have that, but in 100+ years, he can introduce a lightning breath attack in addition to his poison spit.
In addition to his illusion creation, his improved roar, and a variety of other enhancements, absolutely great. I think these molds, Colin, and I think that's why we're focusing on it. This is an excellent way to take your dragons from one level to the next to the next. And if you find out in first edition, right? Or if you're playing D&D in any edition, that your dragons are too weak for the party, this is a section right here, these few pages, read through them. You'll find a way to make your dragons much, much, much more appropriate for your game.
Oh yeah. And remember too, just as a way to play dragons, right? Like Michael was saying a little while ago about, the dwarves making noise and smelling and all that stuff. Yes.
That's every weekend,
right? But the dragon should know you're coming. It probably will. So
right.
It's not this. We always think about, the party stumbles upon a sleeping dragon. That's not really, that doesn't happen in my games. I mean, the dragon knows you're there, right? And he's gonna have some spells prepared. He's gonna have some tactics prepared. I'll have to post it to the show notes if I have it written up, but I have an adventure that I've run at a bunch of conventions called At the End of the World. It's actually a basic D&D adventure, but the dragon for the entire adventure it is in the form of a beautiful woman with white hair, and you think she's like a magic user or a wizard or some sorceress or something who lives up in the frozen north in this kind of like castle of ice, almost like the Fortress of Solitude, but she's actually a dragon, and she uses her polymorphing powers or shape-changing powers to her advantage to fool the party, right? Before she launches full-blown attacks in dragon form. So use your imagination, right? So let's see. Summon Elemental, that's a good one. And then there's some stuff on dragon biology. Remember this, Greg? The dragon biology.
They break down the physiology of the dragon, where the brain's located, yada. Yeah. It's, what? I think this is where as a DM or a player, you kind of like go, okay, do I really want? It's interesting information. This is probably another, I don't know how many pages, 10 pages of more.
It is, yeah. They went crazy.
They did a good job.
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, it really, really dives you into the history and stuff like that or the biology of dragons. I mean, I think it's awesome. I really do.
I love the art too. The art's so
cool. The art is awesome. Yeah.
They have hollow bones, right? Because they fly.
Right. Makes sense.
That's the dragon wings, big bat wings. They can have mutations. I think there was, and I forgot to mention it a little bit earlier. I think one of the powers that you get, like in the fourth molt, is an added head, extra head.
Nice.
It just grows out, which is totally awesome, right? Or maybe it's a mutation,
or it's a regrowing of a head.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, is it grow head?
I'm looking.
My thing is getting blocked, but yeah, it's in here somewhere. It's either a mutation or something you get in the fourth mold.
It's great. It's a great read. Absolutely a great read for anyone.
Oh, it's so much fun, this read. It's so cool. This just explains the whole physiology, and that there's diseases and parasites the dragons can end up with. This is like if you're a player character as a dragon, right? You can get some sort of weird parasite.
And I'd like to apologize to our audience if we have any. I did just buy that last version of this magazine off eBay while we were talking. Just sorry.
There'll be another one.
$18. Maybe it's worth 20 now.
Oh, here's my address. You can send it right here.
That's where it's going.
You don't need two of them.
So it is a mutation.
I talk having like 4 player handbooks for every system out there. It's like, you only need one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Colin.
The mutation to grow extra heads is on page 22, FYI. So that is in my notes. The other really weird thing in here is these dragon dreams. So there's like the culture and everything with the families and all this sort of stuff, but there's the dragon dreams. Do you see that part, Craig? It was like they can have these weird dreams that can kind of become reality and can change.
I didn't really
have an impact on the game world.
I'm thinking the the authors of the dragon thing should have maybe laid off the marijuana cigarettes. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Yeah, this might have been when that was introduced.
It's like, dude, man. So these dragons like dream, man. It's just like,
wait a minute. Speaking about dragons,
Puff.
Mike, are you referring to Puff the Magic Dragon, a very famous song from the 60s, which was all about marijuana, dragons, in our episode in the future?
And here it is, Dragon Dreams. It's like, dude, if you were like a dragon, man, and
Colin, I was more interested in the next page. Flip to the next page.
Okay, but so are we really going to have a DGS presents Drugs and Dragons?
No,
that would be really good.
Just checking.
Much better than the Soy Boys and Degenerates episode we're going to be doing, based on the new 5.5
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Thing. So. I'll remove myself. Thank you very much.
I'm looking for Colin. I'm looking for the dungeon map, the lair maps. So I'm.
Oh yeah. So
no. Here are pages I don't have on mine.
Yeah, here are the clans.
Yeah.
Right. The different and they feud with each other, and I we don't have enough time to go into all that detail, but they do obviously good and evil dragons feud with each other, right? They have their spectral kings and queens. That whole thing. And then we get to magic. So we do need to discuss how the magic works.
Very magical creatures.
Yeah. So there's a couple things here. One thing that we forgot to mention a little bit earlier was this concept of ego. So Mayfair introduced a new stat, a new attribute for dragons called ego. Yep. And it kind of represents what their like confidence and their self-assuredness, their power of will that the dragon can have. And the dragon can actually have to make like rolls against its ego. It's almost like morale. Like if things go badly for the dragon, and then it might dictate what he does in a given battle or in a given situation. That's right. But the ego also ties into magic use. And one thing is interesting. Remember that previous episode we did like a month ago or whatever, where we talked about what level do dragons cast spells at? Well, this supplement answers a question. They cast it 10th.
Yeah.
That's on page 33. So your ego as a dragon is used to basically determine how many base number of spell points you get. So it's ego plus intellect equals base number of spell points. And that's on page 33. And you can use these, and as you grow and you become older, you get more points. You can basically purchase spells to use. But what else do you remember, Greg? What else you need to basically get spells as a dragon, which I thought was really interesting?
Well, I think if you're referencing the history of how dragons came about and how they can hand them down from generation to generation, they get them from maybe their master, right? Mm-hmm. Where a high-level mage might have subdued a dragon, made it its partner, if you will. It's what do you call it? Mascot? Yeah, there's many ways. As a DM, I could come up with at least those two ways of getting spells into dragon use. But it's a natural innate ability for them, regardless of any version, right? Or any edition.
That's correct, right? And so, just like you said, you need the dragon needs a master to basically teach it spells, like new ones. Right. And so the dragon can serve as like a wizard's, almost like a familiar, or a guardian. Or, I mean, if you want to be more clever about it, you could have kind of Game of Thrones or Dragon Riders of Pern type thing.
That's
where,
right.
The dragon Vagar is ridden by, one of the Targaryens and learns spells from a mage, this kind of thing. So you can do it however you want, but this is how they learn magic. And there are new spells that are actually introduced in the Mayfair supplement. I think this is on page 35 here. Which is Move Mountains, Devastator, Enhanced Roar, right? Mass Charm. Can you imagine?
Elemental magic,
but can you imagine like going up against like an ancient fourth molt red dragon, and this guy casts Mass Charm on you?
Yep, on your party, not on you. Not on you, on an area effect.
Yeah, whole party.
Yes.
Right. So that would be.
This is what I'm talking about. Dragons in this were really defined and expanded to the point that you don't want to go up against a dragon in a first edition game if your DM's using this magazine. Yeah,
it's really, it can be very deadly, right? I mean, it's definitely very challenging, which is good, right?
Yeah, yeah. They did a nice job.
Yeah, and that brings us to, I loved this section, guards and pets. The weird little guards and pets and stuff they have in here. The sensor dogs on page 35.
Yeah.
It looks like a Shibu Inu with like little
with bows in its hair
and Dorian horns from Star Trek.
That's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, like antennae, and they basically, they serve as watchdogs to the dragon's lair and alert the dragon if you're coming. And then there's some like these little serpents and stuff that they have, and all kinds of stuff in here. Let's see, what else do I have? Then I think there are some. There's some stuff on like, oh yeah, these guys, the termite workers.
Dude, I had those once when I went to Florida. I had to get like a shot and a shave.
That's it.
So you have the macro terms. These like giant termites and stuff that can burrow through mountains and stuff and create new caverns and stuff for the dragon lords.
Well, mine couldn't burrow through a mountain, but it was quite unpleasant. Just saying.
Yes,
things are better now.
You got treated before that,
Mostly.
It became an issue.
A light dusting and a shave, you're fine.
Yeah. So you have like termite workers and soldier termites. Yeah. Which I think is pretty cool, right? I mean, you could easily create a convention dungeon, like a 4-hour one shot.
You could.
The party dealing with like termites and these crazy guardian creatures, but before finally facing the dragon itself. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then the dragon's not home. That's
right. Right. And then that's next week's episode.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we're not here.
After all that nonsense, you're just like, where's the dragon? And all the loot. And he's like, oh, well, he moved last week.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin, do me a favor. You're moving into the plant lore and other things that were part of this. Go back to there should be an image that says greeting the sun. It's an image of a dragon's lair. I think this is something that DMs and players alike will find very interesting.
Yeah, all the way back here.
Yeah.
There it is.
Here it is. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, look at that. That is a real nice job of saying, like you said, right? Hey, let's set up an adventure. Let's go hunt a dragon. Okay, here's a map of its lair.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have that. Let's have fun with that. I could see me running that for 4 hours.
Oh yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
Go to the previous page because that's the other half. It should be 2 pictures.
Yeah, there you
go. Okay.
Oh, and
there's a
termite caves, right? An excavation area.
I'll be avoiding that cave. Just so
there's my blue dragon, which attacked my party and burn them up.
Right? Yeah.
Nesting
dragons are fun. They're fun.
Treasure cave. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. I totally spaced this out, but I meant to mention that the dragons consume coal or gems in order to recharge their breath weapons.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that is one of the reasons why they keep treasure. Gems.
That would be a reason, yes.
Chew them up to get their breath weapon.
Well, it's a shame that Mayfair has gone basically out of business because I would love to have a supplement based on like how to train your dragon.
Yes,
those are the real dragons here. This stuff is just kind of like it's Dragon Light, but here we go. These are real dragons right here. That's what I'm looking for.
Difference between what, first and third molt there? Probably. Yeah.
That's probably the 5th molt. That's when you become like super cute. Which I don't think they covered in this Mayfair thing, which is unfortunate.
There was no cuteness whatsoever.
There's no cuteness, man. So this is old school.
Except for that dog.
The Andorian tentacles.
And here's the history, right? The creation of the dragons and all that. This is big, too detailed to get into here, but it's interesting. But and then
let's not go to Dragonlord Town. Nice. No Dragonlords. No Dragonlords. That's not a dragon.
Yeah. Here's the Dragonlord Town.
Oh, there's a dragon. I see it flying.
Colin, I think you're spot on. This is a great Mayfair episode magazine, if you will, to cover. I think it plays very well in your older editions of D&D. Any edition, actually.
Yeah, here are the Dragonlords, right? The Dragonlord Towns. There are Dragonlord classes. So they just went all out with this.
Well, the reason they put this at the end is because it's boring. Move on.
Right.
And then I think there was a oh, here we go. Here the Dragonlords for the warriors. And again, this is like the riders, right? The people is kind of Game of Thrones stuff. Or Gore.
Game of Thrones is pretty cool.
Did Gore have dragons? I don't think Gore had dragons, but maybe it did. And here's the Dragonlands. And there is, remember the table.
Gore had like slave ladies. I'm just saying. I read them. And still reading
that. But here's the tabletop range. And remember that the spectral dragons and stuff are in there. We mentioned that earlier in the episode that they live up there somewhere. You can drop this anywhere, right? If you just want to be clever or whatever, and you could stick this somewhere in Greyhawk, or you could put it in Mystara, or Forgotten Realms. It really doesn't matter.
So, I mean, it's such an interesting book, and it's so in depth. And it's a wonder when I thought TSR tried to absorb Role Aids in Mayfair. You'd think that they would have taken a lot of their content and maybe roll it into their own work.
They didn't absorb Mayfair. I think
I know they sued them.
They purchased the Role Aids, I think, IP.
Okay.
And I can't remember who did that. The name is
well, in '93 they sued him.
Did they?
TSR did, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I knew there was some legal stuff between them, but it's not like I think we've erroneously claimed on an earlier episode that TSR like actually bought Mayfair, which that's not the case. It's just the
right. They just sued him,
right? Because Mayfair they produce Settlers of Catan.
Yes, back in what was that 90?
Yeah, and they're huge now. Yeah, I mean, like if you go to Origins or something, they have like massive presence there. It's like bigger than WotC. It's just huge, right? So
they have so many of these supplements and everything like that. It's like something I want to start collecting. I mean, I got tons of stuff.
This would be something to collect.
Worth having.
Yeah, definitely. This would be something to collect.
I have a bunch of stuff. I have like the Shipwrecker module in Role Aids, but it's like the pirates and stuff. There's kind of like an Annie Bonnie pirate queen kind of thing.
Yeah, I have the house record one.
Oh, the home wrecker?
Yeah, the home record. That's the one I have.
Yeah.
And believe me, Michael, I read cover to cover.
Michael, did you say health wrecker and Colin had to call you a home wrecker? Did I? Is that what I just witnessed?
It's a home wrecker. The home record module.
He's both a home wrecker and a home
edition of that. Just saying.
And then finally in here, fast forwarding a bit, there is an adventure. There's a big adventure involving these dragons. Oh, there we go. That's where you went. You just want to whip it out and show it to us. That's
what she said.
There you go.
All right. So if we're whipping out, look.
There it is.
Our dragons are the same size.
Dragon in the sand.
I have that big undead dragon Michael gave me a while back, but I'm not going to go and get it because
you were supposed to get it before the show because we were supposed to whip out our dragons and compare.
Yeah.
As
I just have that dragon token that I showed you guys earlier. Yeah, so there's this adventure here it's pretty fun. I mean, obviously I can't go through all this, but it it involves all the things that are inside the supplement. You have this map, and Greg, while you were gone, I was saying that you can drop these Dragonlands and these settings pretty much anywhere. You could drop it somewhere in a Greyhawk easily.
And Colin, I think we have a segment here that we're going to do a word from our sponsor.
Oh, that's a sponsor?
Just remember.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the show.
Well, what's wrong with Richard Nixon?
Nothing wrong with Dick Nixon.
I am not. Oh,
so
criminal.
it's okay to be a dick, dude. Or Dick Van Dyke.
He just died, didn't he?
He did.
No,
yeah.
he's still alive.
No, last week.
No, he's still. Well, shit. Now I'm gonna have to look. No, the dick is still alive. Alive
anyway,
and kicking.
And there is a second adventure here called Fort Pelham. And I think there's some pretty cool maps. This is just old school maps, right? Like monochromatic.
Where'd you get that from? Oh, that's in the magazine. Nice.
Yeah, this is the magazine.
Yeah.
The magazine. There's attacks on the village.
They did a real nice job. I mean, what is it? How many total pages of information on dragons? It's like 50 pages of information.
Yeah. That's pretty cool picture of that. Like,
just to let you know, Dick Van Dyke is still alive. He's 99.
Oh, okay.
So let's not start rumors on the show.
99.
Which Dick died? I heard a Dick from Disney died.
Well, aren't they all? I'm not going to finish that joke.
Anyway, here, this is a cool map. Here you have the blue dragon cards. So you can imagine what it would be like this, going through here, contending with this. Sacred Mountain. It looks almost like those Zoroastrian mountains in Iran where they sky burials where they're burying people on top. We have this dragon sacred mountain here. So that's like totally cool. But yeah, so I mean, going through the caverns.
I think on the title of this Mayfair magazine, I'm scrolling back.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 different dungeon adventures within this module as well. And I think that's what you're touching on right now.
Yeah, that's what those ones are just flipping through really, really quickly.
You know what's so cool is in this cover of the magazine, on the lower right, it says written about the Dragonlords, Dragons of the Month from Grenadier Modules Inc. Remember Grenadier? Grenadier.
Oh, Grenadier. Yeah, is it Grenadier?
Yeah. That's Ral Partha era. You know what I'm saying? That's classic. That's dead games right there. Dead games.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and so there's so much you can do with these dragons in terms of their special abilities and everything, and you can very much customize them, which is kind of modern gaming thing. DMs love to customize, but you can do that here with minimal effort, make it believable. Make the dragons really cool, give them personality, right? They're intelligent, they're spellcasters. They may have had a master at one point. They're part of a clan, they're part of a family, all that good stuff. So remember to play them intelligently.
Highly intelligently.
Yeah, the breath attack, if you play it correct, I mean, according to AD&D, kind of raw rules and everything, it's my understanding the breath attack is treated as a missile weapon. It's not treated as a spell. So it pretty much goes off right away, right, within that 10 segment round.
Right.
It's not a case where the dragon has to wait till segment 8, 9, 10, whatever to cast that. So use that to your advantage, versus spellcasters.
Also, several of the breath weapon attacks, you as a player character get to use your dexterity adjustment, right? Save verse, breath weapon, and you get to use like a monk, right? A monk could dodge a fireball. It could dodge various other forms of range attacks. So there's a lot that goes into it, but you're exactly right. This is a great role aids to have if you want to play dragons better than they are built in first edition. Absolutely.
Oh, and just to touch on, a couple episodes ago, we were talking about initiative and all that. I had to dig up forum posts and emails from Gary Gygax himself to support one of the contentions I made in an early episode that a lot of people had a problem with, and that was the idea that D6 initiative, when side A and side B rolls, that the losing side, right, goes on the higher initiative die. If side A rolls a 3 and side B rolls a 5, right, the winning side will go on segment 3, the losing side will go on 5, right? This was confirmed by Gary Gygax. That is the rule. He said it in the email. It can be found on EN World, the exchange. But the other interesting thing that I found, Greg, which I didn't know after 45 years of AD&D playing.
You're still a baby.
The mage does not lose his dexterity bonus for the entire round that he is casting a spell. Mind blown. I did not know this.
You know what? That sounds cool. Is if his spell takes 5 segments to cast, lose dexterity for those 5 segments, the other 5 segments of the round, either on the front, back, or just either end. I agree. Yes. I like the dex. That's right.
Right. So when you go to page 66 and you're doing that calculation, you're trying to figure out when the melee attack is going to get in.
Yeah.
He only loses his dex bonus for the segments in which he is actually casting the spell. And this is very important, guys. This is confirmed by Gary Gygax. Nobody believes me on this. There is a starting segment for the spell. The spell does not begin on segment 1. It does not.
I don't believe it.
It begins when the mage wants it to begin within that round.
But let's say in my previous example, let's say winning initiative side, I'm going on segment 3. That fireball does not go off until segment 6.
That's right.
Gary Gygax himself said this. Right. I know everybody disagreed with me and went crazy about this, right? On the forums. You're wrong. No, I'm right. Okay. There's a starting segment for the spell, for the spellcaster. Okay. Which means, like we said before, Greg, for the first 3 segments, even if a fighter is right in front of him swinging a sword, he still gets his dex bonus.
I agree. Makes sense.
Okay. So just to put that to rest, I'm just saying. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to play it that way. We didn't play it that way back in the day. The only time we used weapon speed is if there was a tie in initiative and all that. I get it. Okay. But what I'm saying is that is the actual Gary's rule. And that's how that actually works. So
I think that plays better. And it also gives the player characters more longevity. Anything small like that preserves your PC's life, right? Because first editions kind of save or die. Anything like that, those little nuances that will give the edge to the player character, but it's not, I don't want to say the word insignificant, but it is minor to the point you add up a bunch of minors, your PCs live longer, your player characters have more epic adventures, game on.
Right. And I had that kind of implied rule or a slight house rule too in that previous example where I said that if we're adding spellcasting segment time to the starting segment for the wizard, we have to add the weapon speed time to the starting segment of the fighter. Otherwise, it isn't fair. Okay? It doesn't make any sense that a fighter can swing a great sword on segment 2 against a magic user who's trying to cast polymorph other on segment 4. Right? That we should even that out mathematically by saying that we should add the weapon speed to the starting segment. But again, that is an implied rule that is kind of a house rule by Colin here. All right. I'm just trying to, like you said, make it more even, somewhat more even between the spellcaster and the person, the fighter or thief or whoever closes in on combat and starts attacking them. Otherwise, as I showed in simulations, the fighter or the thief or whoever almost always hits the magic user before he can get the spell off. Always, which is, it just shouldn't be that way. So anyway.
Well, honestly, guys, who's really playing these older editions? I mean, like Oldman and Bergs. Listen, if you're not playing 5 Point Gay, you are not with it. You're not Hitman. I mean, 5.5 or whatever they're calling it. 5.2, 2025.
Yeah.
Something like that. What's the next episode? Wait, there's another version. I heard there's a new version coming out.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah, like 6.9 or something like that.
Oh, yeah. And you can play it both ways.
Yeah, I haven't paid any attention to it. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, Greg is our AD&D.
It's the best ever.
I know a thing or two.
And of course, and Greg does not play the D6 raw initiative system. And
no, but I have, and I loved it. I saw a magic user with 1 hit point on at GaryCon, 5 or so. I think Stormberg ran it. It was fantastic. I saw one hit point mage kill an ogre with a dagger, 1 point at a time, and the entire time I'm just cringing. I'm like, oh, that hurt. Oh, and he, like for like 6 rounds. It was fantastic.
Didn't Stormberg bring? Didn't he play the Moat House with us?
Paul plays the best games.
Yeah, in your buddy's basement, he actually brought the castle, and we played chainmail version 3 in the Moat House.
Yeah. Now he came up with his buddy, and they did a real nice job. Yeah.
That was totally cool. But anyway, we are at the hour mark, guys. I promised the viewers at one point or another to try to keep these within a reasonable.
We get viewers?
I mean, we might have a couple. I don't know.
One viewer, and I think it's one viewer.
We want the one viewer to enjoy themselves. Gotcha.
So that's it for this week. To the audience, please like, subscribe. It lets us know that we're doing a good job here. Again, this is just for fun. We're not selling anything, and we're not going to do clickbait or anything like that. This is just good, fun content where you can reminisce about the cool days of playing these old games and different ways to approach them, and maybe cool supplements and texts and books that you haven't seen before. And we can just all have a good time exploring this stuff. So,
all right.
With that, I am going to sign off, and you guys can say goodbye.
Till next time.
So long.